Hi, welcome to the Utah Small Business Podcast. My name is Dan Garner. I'm your host. Today, we're going to be talking to Tom Arnold from Vid Victory, and they do videos for businesses. Some of the things we talk about today is going to be what their different roles are at the company, how they have improved their processes, what they want to do in the future, and what their goals are, and some of the obstacles that are challenging them in achieving their goals. We're here with Tom Arnold from Vid Victory on the Utah Small Business Podcast. I'm a personal injury attorney, but the goal of today is to highlight Tom and everything they're doing and what their goals are, and maybe work through some things to figure out how we can help Vid Victory make the next step. So thanks for coming over.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, Dan. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So Tom and I have known each other for a couple of years now, pre-COVID. It's like every time I'm like trying timeline something, COVID was here.
Yeah. I know the last 4 years just don't count.
Yeah. And someday I'll get away from, hopefully COVID won't be.
2016 was 4 years ago, and so was COVID. So,
oh, jeez. Yikes. Yeah. Don't tell my wife that, because she's saying that she's aging in reverse, but it is what it is. When she hit that 35 number, then she's
that's just better for you, right?
Exactly.
Now you don't have to find a younger wife. She just gets younger as it. Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good way to sell it. For sure.
It.
So why don't you, let's start with this. So I just want to kind of know your history of Vid Victory, why you decided to do what you do.
Sure. Absolutely. So there are two parts to Vid Victory. One part is me, and the other part is my business partner, Brian. Brian's the creative. I love his brain. He's been doing this almost 20 years in the industry here in Utah, creating video. That is, we're a video production company. I probably should mention that.
There you go.
And he went to film school. He's good at what he does. He puts out a beautiful product. And I've worked with him. I mean, I've known him 18 years. And we've done a handful of things together. We submitted to a few film festivals and won a few awards. We've had fun over the years. And I love what he can create. But bless his heart, and he would agree with this, he's not a business person. He doesn't understand the intricacies of, payroll and taxes and budgeting, and but also coming up with policies and procedures and knowing, standardizing things so that it's repeatable, right? Everything is just a one-off. Everything is and that's the way with many, many creatives. The beautiful thing is I have about 15 years now of operations experience. I've had a slew of weird jobs over the years where I was a professional blacksmith for a while. I was a project manager for a top 50 law firm. I traveled the U.S. 40 weeks out of the year training for a software company for a few years.
Okay.
I threw axes competitively for a little while. I've done some weird stuff.
I forgot that you did that.
Yeah, that was a fun one. I missed that. We need to go axe throwing sometime. But, I've done a lot of odd things. But all of it has kind of come back to operations.
Yeah. So so yours and Brian's relationship, did you meet at school? How did you?
We worked together at a summer camp up Provo Canyon in 2007.
Okay.
So, we're looking at 15 years or 18 years ago.
That's like,
many.
Barely out of high school type stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I was 19. He was just back from a mission. And so, yep, absolutely. So yeah, we worked together there. We actually made a 30-minute video film that was medieval, and I choreographed sword fights, and we plastered a fake scar on my face. It was fantastic. Thoroughly enjoyed it. But that's what we did our first summer together, because Brian's been doing this since he was 8 years old. He loves film and videos.
Okay.
And so he's the creative side of this. I'm the operations side, and I can manage people, and I make sure that the lights stay on, that we keep running, that we aren't just having super highs and super lows. I keep us profitable all the time, instead of, hey, we got a new project and we got $15,000, and then it all goes out the door within a month.
Right. The more the roller coaster, right?
Yeah.
Like it seems like there's that solopreneur that's like, I see it a lot where they come in, we don't have business. So then you see them at all the networking events that we all kind of in Utah do. and you see them for like 2 or 3 months, then they get the business they need, and then they're super busy, and then they don't come to the networking events.
Yep.
And then
Yep.
it just this
Prospecting,
giant roller coaster.
landing a client, fulfillment, and that takes a while. And then
Right.
they finish fulfillment and say, "Oh crap, I don't have any prospects," and
Right.
go back to
Yeah.
prospecting. So no, I mean, Brian and I both prospect. We're both out there hustling and looking. And so we've by and large we've gotten off that cycle, especially because while we're fulfilling, we don't have to be worrying about, can we pay ourselves?
Right.
Can we? I mean, I'm honestly.
Do you guys have employees, or is it just you two? Okay.
Yeah. So there are 4 of us. So we have 2 full-time editors
Okay.
that they're on payroll. So yeah, no, it's been, we hired one in end of 2021, and then we brought another one on last year.
How was that?
Terrifying.
Yeah, that first hire, like that first employee hire, I remember being like, I need to hire an assistant.
Yeah.
And I was like, I can't do this. Like, this is nuts. Like,
The beautiful thing,
but it's the best decision ever.
Yeah, because it freed us up.
Yeah.
Honestly, that was one of the biggest things for getting out of that cycle, that prospecting, landing a client, sales and fulfillment cycle.
Right.
Is we could go out and prospect and land, and then we would go film and hand it off and say, "Here you go. Take care of this, and we're going to go back to this," and not have to be stuck in this for 3 months, right? Because sometimes that fulfillment takes a long time, and you aren't doing the other pieces. And so we were able to just stay steady, continuing through and having somebody else to, by and large, fulfill. We're the ones actually filming, and so we know that it's going to be a good product. We also trust our editors. I mean,
yeah, and so was that hard for you both? I'm wondering if it was harder for Brian than it was for you.
What's funny is, so I was editing, right? When I first hopped in, I was doing
because you're creative. I mean, you kind of label yourself as an operations guy, but
and I mean,
you've been on camera more than
scripts.
Brian has.
It's true. But I love writing scripts. I love actually doing voiceover. I do a fair amount of our voiceover stuff.
Okay.
I enjoy pieces of this, but I can't compose a shot. I'm not the one who's going to figure out lighting. I mean, I know we need to have at least 3 points of light. One's a hair light so that we have something in the background. Don't put them right next to a wall. You're going to, I've picked up a lot of things from this, but I'm not the one. I never go to a shoot alone. It's never just me. It's Brian. Okay. And that's a great thing because he's great at this. And so we're the ones filming, but we can hand off quality video or quality raw footage to our editor. Our editor will then take it and create it, and then we'll go back and say, "Hey, do this and this." And Brian's really great at that too, because he's been doing it so long. He can say, "Hey, throw a denoise on this part. We had something going on," or, "Hey, we need to make sure that we color correct this better," or, "Hey, we need to do this." And so he has a good tactful eye as far as editing. And then I'm the one who's like, "Hey, this content is not quite right. We need to fix this. We got to do this." So we just work really well together.
And how long? And you've been you've been together. But when did Vid Victory start?
Vid Victory officially started in June of 2020, so just after COVID. Yeah. So and Brian approached me and said, "Hey, I've been doing this for about 12 years on his own," right? He had been with a handful of different companies and things, but he had been trying to solopreneur this as a side gig and then as a main gig for 12 years.
Right.
And when he came to me, he said, I'm on that cycle. I can't get out of it. I can't figure this out.
Yeah.
Can you jump in and help me figure this out? And I said, "You know what? I saw what his business model was. It's a good idea. It still is. It still works for us. We just signed a new client yesterday, honestly, for a monthly revenue cycle. And so, it works." Sure. And I recognized that and said, "Yeah, I can make this work. I can streamline this. I can push this so that it is actually profitable."
I see a lot of similarities in what you guys do and the law too, what I do. Because there's this art piece to it, right? Like there are systems you can put in place, but at the end of the day, a lot of times clients are hiring me, like they want me in trial. Yeah. They don't want, even though I have associates that do great work, and they're going to help me with the trial because there's a bazillion witnesses and so.
And honestly, Dan, being in a courtroom is art. It's creative. I mean, there's a dance to it. and even being in depositions, doing all those different pieces of it, it requires you to be creative in what you do. And so, I mean, you kind of almost have a theater background or an acting background for what you do.
There's a lot of lawyers that they go to like the local community college or whatever, and they do some acting stuff.
Acting or improv.
A lot of the trial lawyer colleges, they focus on that stuff.
Sure.
Like, hey, how do you tell a story?
Yep.
Which,
and then you have contract attorneys who are just sitting in an office.
Right. Right. So my point of bringing that up, because, I don't want to, this show's not about me, it's about you. No. Right. So, but my point is there's some level of, you can't systematize, you're not making widgets. So I struggle with that a lot. Like, how much bigger can I really get? Because if I get much bigger, then I can't manage everything. I can't do everything. And so talk to me about that. Have you guys thought about that?
Absolutely. So, I'll give you a little insight into what we plan to be our model. Don't steal this. Okay. But our hope, expectation, goal. Let's go with goal.
Sure.
It's January. We can go with goals.
I love it. Yeah.
Our goal is in the next 3 to 5 years, we franchise this.
Okay.
Not necessarily where in a new location, it's its own thing, right? What I want is we find a solid videographer, or someone who's kind of been doing this solo and has experience and has even maybe gear. We could provide gear or not. That's still being decided in things. But somebody where we say, okay, I'm going to pick something small, right? We say, hey, Boise, there's a new there's a new game in town, and it's Vid Victory, and we're here to take care of all of your video needs, but especially for marketers. Marketers are wonderful, and I love them. And they never, ever understand how to do video. They are great at marketing. They're great at putting out pieces of content, but they aren't great at creating content, especially video
things
content.
To say about marketers.
Well. Talk to me later, but
off camera,
we
have a really good.
I really do. We love partnering with marketers because I never ever want to do their marketing work. Right? I'm never going to poach a client. I don't want to touch that, man.
Yeah.
They are good at that. It's their background and experience and what they do. I just want to do the video, and then I want to hand it off to them. Their client is thrilled. We'll pay them a commission.
Sure.
And it expands their offering. That's our newest thing, is creating partnerships with marketers specifically. Okay. And so if we can move into Boise and say, hey, all of you marketers who don't offer video, now you do.
Right.
Come to Vid Victory. We got you. And we have somebody out there who's doing the filming, and then he's going to send it to us, and we're going to do the editing in-house.
Right.
And so that way we can more systematize this. We can give him expectations. We can give him a checklist.
Yeah.
And make sure you do this, this, and this. He doesn't even really need to be in charge of pre-production, scripting and talent and things like that. We can do that in-house and have a producer have it grow into different roles here so that we can kind of put that out. So
that sounds more, not to get too technical, but that sounds more like a white label. Is that, or maybe I'm not seeing
to
exactly
some extent, except I think that we'll actually have potentially a physical location, or at least an office or something where people can come in, and we want the person there to be creating the relationships, right? We need them out there networking. We need them representing Vid Victory and being bought into this.
Right.
Because from Salt Lake, I can't find clients easily in Boise. I'm not in the
you don't want to drive there, right?
Yeah.
Like the video
and I don't
expense for that.
And one of our clients is in Twin Falls, and we go once a quarter and film 12 videos and then edit them here, right? And another one of our clients is the largest franchisee of Alpha Graphics is in Idaho Falls, and we go up there every once in a while and film stuff for them. So I don't mind traveling a little bit, but
shout out to Alpha Graphics.
You know it. I actually really do love Alpha Graphics. Their stuff. I should show you the video we did for them. But I need somebody who is repping Vid Victory in that location, not as a salesperson, but as a kind of a hybrid sales and they're gonna, but in many ways, eat what they kill, right? They need to find them, and we will be taking a portion because we're doing all the editing and keeping them out of that cycle, right? That vicious cycle is just going to bog down.
Well, and they get to focus on what they're really good at, right? They get to focus on the marketing,
and they get to borrow our name, right?
Yeah.
Especially we have a pilot episode of a TV show coming out. that we're planning on selling, and we have some interested people already. And so once that goes out, Vid Victory is going to be a larger name than just, we're known in Salt Lake or Utah County.
Right.
It's going to get bigger. And so being able to borrow our name, also our standard operating procedures, because we're going to have these are the steps that you do. And that way we can bring in. And then once we've figured out Boise, we go to Massachusetts, right? We say Boston, let's do this.
Right.
We go to we go to the large metropolitan areas all over the US and open a new location, open a new franchise, and have somebody who's bought in, right?
Right.
It's their location, they own it, or at least,
So one of the goals of the podcast is to kind of, for the listeners, I want them to kind of learn from the experiences and the failures that other businesses have had. So talk about what brought you to that conclusion. What brought you down that path to say, hey, we're really going to focus on referral partners, essentially.
Yeah, absolutely. So I actually just went through the Goldman Sachs 10,000 Small Businesses program about a year ago. And it was phenomenal. I learned a whole lot of things. And one of the things that I really learned was if I keep chasing one-off clients, I'm never going to grow this because I'm going to keep chasing, right?
Yeah.
And their lifetime value may be 10 to 30 grand, but it's not all going to come in at the same time.
Right.
And once they're tapped, they're tapped. Whereas if I can go to someone who has a base of clients that already has a marketing budget, right? They've hired a marketer.
Right.
They know the value of the content and they know how to deploy it, right? The marketer knows how to get it out there.
Right.
One of the things I hate most, and I'll come back to this, I'm jumping topics a tiny bit. One of the things I hate most is I'll talk to a client 6 months after the fact and say, hey, how'd that video go? We provided this beautiful video to you. It cost you $3,000 to $5,000, right? Whatever.
Right. Yeah.
What'd you do with it? And they were like, oh yeah, I posted that on Facebook once. It got like 1,000 likes. And I'm like,
it's on my homepage.
that's $3 a like. Like, what do you mean you used it once?
Yeah.
Like it just blows my mind. Whereas if I hand that to a marketer, they are stretching that to within an inch of its life, right? They are using that video everywhere they possibly can, and they're going to keep it on a rotation. It's going to keep getting posted every couple months. They're going to get the value out of it that it deserves.
For sure. And that's something I've struggled with is and that's with the price point and with the video. And we've talked before.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, man, I can't spend for like a social media video. Right. Yeah. And I feel like you guys you're not really doing what I would consider social media videos.
You'd be surprised. One of our biggest things is YouTube, honestly. And we'll sign a client for YouTube where I just signed one this week. They are this group is actually a plastic surgeon. So it's a cosmetic surgery office. Yeah. And they have a bunch of different offerings, and we're going to be creating consistent YouTube content for them. Okay. And some of it's going to be, before the procedure, this is what you need to know. Okay, it's the day of your procedure. These are the things you need to do. Okay. And post-procedure, this is what you can expect. But other pieces of it.
So that's like an in-house client.
A little bit. Client facing, but also we're going to put it on YouTube because it's a great repository. Right. Use YouTube as your repository. It's super easy to share links. You can get people to the right place. Even if you don't publish it and leave it unlisted, you can still get it much easier to everybody has YouTube. Right. It's easily consumable. So,
and they don't make you sign in. They don't,
right. Yeah, exactly. So that's kind of one thing, but we're also going to be doing the YouTube, the social media side of things where we're going to sit down and say, all right, doctor, plug your business, talk about this talk about this aspect, bring them into the right thing, to the right procedure for them. Or talk about, what's your Halloween special this year? Scared of the crow's feet? Get rid of the whatever it is, right? Stop looking like a witch. My word's not his. Yeah.
The more punny, the better.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, I made one of my clients once say, "What's this? Should I get this rash checked out?" every single time I made him say it on camera, and it was one of my favorite things, and he hated it. And you know what? He's gotten positive feedback because of it, because puns are hilarious. Anyway, so that's right. I hate handing it off and just seeing it float into the ether and disappear.
Right.
And so working with a partner who knows what they're doing means I can hand it off and it gets used. And it gets used and it gets used and it gets used. I mean, I handed off a video last year to a client who is a marketer. They ran Facebook and Instagram ads. They spent about $1,500 over 5 weeks, and they sold $210,000 worth of product. Yeah. And the product is $20. It's
is that the scooper thing?
Yeah, the pumpkin scooper. Yeah, for Halloween. So they only had 5 weeks to market it, right? Because once Halloween hits, nobody's going to buy that.
No one wants to see that ad in August,
right?
No one's going to buy it anyways.
And so, but once it hits September and October, and they sold out. They would have done more revenue. They would have sold more units.
Man, now
but they ran out of product.
That's a crazy problem to have,
right?
Projecting like how much could we sell,
right? And honestly, we didn't make it last year. We made it the year before, and they did really. I mean, they sold $90,000 the first year.
Right. And how much was that video for them?
I don't want to tell you because our prices have gone up, but we were dumb and young and hungry.
We'll account for inflation.
We'll bleep this out, but we only charged them like
significantly less,
a little less than $2,000.
Okay.
So yeah, significantly less,
and what their value
was including talent, and we found a location, and we really wanted to work with.
That included the actors.
Oh, dude. We bent over for that one, but
so you didn't make any money, is what you're saying?
We made a little, but no, we also had 72 hours to turn it around because they needed it ASAP. And so, no, we really wanted to work with this marketer, and he has since sent us a fair amount of work. Yeah. And so, in that instance, we're okay with we criminally undercharged. For
was that marketer in house, or is he a separate guy?
He actually he does e-commerce for a bunch of different brands, and so So and he
marketing like there is so, and that's I've probably, it's sad, but I probably lost like $100,000. And this is over, 11 years, right? Yeah. But
where you did,
I haven't found a good one.
Yeah, and
I'm like I can't compete with the billboard guys. Right. They're spending $12 million a year.
Right.
Right. So, and I don't want to. They have a different business model.
Right. Because
their volume.
They're set them up, knock them down, settle as soon as possible. And that's not you. And that's why I respect you, Dan.
That's why you agree to come on the
that's why I'm here. I wouldn't be sitting here with one call, that's all.
So
I don't think I probably can say that on this. I'm going to get sued, but.
Anyways.
He's one of our listeners.
No, it's a long story. He'll sue stuff over stuff that I'm like, dude, you're going to lose, but people are afraid, so they give in. So, so would you say, in my view, there's really, I don't want to be too simple, but there's like the volume side of business, right? Where we're just doing volume. And then there's more, I would say more quality.
Sure.
And you guys are definitely on the quality. We're definitely
on the quality side. Yep. Yeah. I mean, so that's a great thing to bring up. You've probably heard of Vid Army. No relation.
I haven't.
Okay, so Vid Army was a company here in Utah that basically you paid a monthly subscription price, and it was like $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
And you could sign up for time slots, and you could come in for like an hour a week kind of thing and film as many videos as you can in that hour slot. They would edit them and give them back to you. And they weren't great, right? Yeah. I mean, they were fine. It wasn't, there wasn't heavy editing in it, right? We're doing motion graphics. We're doing animation. We're doing beautiful things to make a beautiful end product. And theirs was talking head that they would chop up, and that's totally fine.
Right. Well, there's a place for it.
Absolutely.
If you're trying to do, and that's where I come back to, if you're doing 30 videos a day, like, Gary V style.
I don't know. And I don't know how you edit all of that, but that's fine.
Right. You know, like you can't spend $500 a video on 30 videos a day. Absolutely. You just can't do it. The ROI is not there. So that makes sense.
That volume model is absolutely an option. They did have some trouble, and they are no more. Vid Army. So don't go looking for them. And actually, technically, they do still exist in some smaller way.
Capacity.
But there was some trouble at the top, from what I understand. Anyway, and so, but it's an interesting model, right? Because it is all volume based, and if you get 100 people to sign up, you just made $100,000 that month, right? I don't know how you fit all those people in. I don't know how you have enough editors to turn out that content, but That's a different. With $100,000, you can solve a lot of problems.
Sure, you can
every month,
absolutely.
right?
Yeah,
and so that's a really cool business model, but it's not what we want to do.
right. And
We wanna be putting out
that's
beautiful.
that's
perfect
another
product.
point. And sorry, I'm talking over you, but that's your problem, right? You got to fix that later. So, and that's part of the problem too. Is I think that people feel like when they're starting their business, they don't quite know which path to go down.
Sure.
And then they do everything.
Yeah.
And then it just doesn't. And then you
Yeah.
don't. It doesn't turn out well.
I can't tell you how many times I've been told in this industry that I need to niche down. Right. And there
Right.
are a handful of things that I don't do.
Sure.
But we run the gamut, man. Like
Yeah.
if people want social media video or YouTube video, great. If people want TV commercials, absolutely. If people
Yeah.
want things that are Harmon Brothers-esque, we can do that on a budget because Harmon Brothers doesn't get out of bed for less than $500,000. But they also
Explain
do the
that to me
fulfillment
because
side.
I don't know what that means.
So Harmon Brothers like Squatty Potty or Purple Mattress, those types of commercials where they are long and drawn out but then they cut it down. Or Pesty, that was the most recent one that I saw from them, right?
Okay.
And they usually hire the people from Studio C, and they're great. And they make, honestly, their videos are top notch.
Right.
They're some of the best. I saw an interview with a guy from Purple Mattress that said, anytime we want to make money, we turn on that video and it's a money printing machine. We put in $1 and it pays us $4 back. Right? I mean,
Yeah.
that is a huge testament to how
Right.
well they have structured what they do. But businesses that don't have $500,000 to plunk down, or $500,000 plus,
Right.
can't access that. And so
Which
we
is
can create that
98%
style.
of
Right,
businesses.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so we can create that style. We don't have the infrastructure built, but we can hand you off to the right marketer who's going to put it in the right places and get you. I mean, right, $210,000 in 5 weeks. That's not terrible. And so
Not at all.
You know what I mean? So we can create the video. It's not going to look just like that because I don't have $100,000 budget. Unless you want to give me $100,000 budget, I'll make it look like that.
Which
But-
he will absolutely take.
Oh
people.
yeah.
So if you're
hands down.
sitting there with $100,000
Like,
that you
know what?
want to burn,
I like how Tom looks. He's got a snazzy shirt. He looks
Yeah.
like he just lost weight. Yeah.
which he did.
It's true.
Beautiful man over here.
Thank you. I shaved. I trimmed today just
Did
for
you?
you.
Good.
But yeah, I mean, if we had the budget for it, yeah, we can absolutely make it look like that. But
Right.
we can also do that on a budget and put out a beautiful product that's
Right.
going to get similar results. So
What's been your favorite video so far that you've done? And I know that besides the pilot, because I've seen some. I haven't seen any of the video from the pilot, but I've
It's
seen some still
It's
images.
still being edited.
And I'm
yeah.
not an Austin.
you don't
fan.
love Jane Austen? That's so
well,
weird.
I mean, as much as a guy can love
Yeah.
Jane Austen, right?
I mean, you've
But-
met Michael Glassford. He loves Jane Austen. I don't know what to tell you, but
Michael
shout out to
loves
Michael
everybody.
Glassford. It's true. He's great.
He's just
I love
that
him.
guy.
But yeah, I'm really excited for that. I think one of my favorites. I'm going to go back to the Alpha Graphics video. We added a lot of motion graphics and animation to that.
Okay.
And just kept it interesting. But then we had really beautiful shots. It's all about their fulfillment. They said, we need to show off what we can do. So we
Right.
went to 3 different locations because they also own Graphique down, if you've driven past. Yeah, they own Graphique, which is
I
like
didn't know that.
building signage,
Yeah.
right? Lighted on the signs of buildings, UVUs signs and stuff like that. Alpha
Why
Graphics
did they?
owns that.
Do you know why they didn't keep that under the Alpha Graphics?
I think that it already had a brand built.
Oh,
I'm not
they bought it?
100% sure. Yeah,
Oh,
they
okay.
bought it. They brought that on.
Gotcha.
So, and I think I don't know. I don't know that I'm allowed to speak to this, but I think that it's technically outside of what Alpha Graphics offers because they're a franchisee.
Yeah,
They're their largest franchisee, but
they're still.
they kind of brought that on so because it's an additional offering
Right.
for their clientele that's not necessarily within the Alpha Graphics banner.
Right. Gotcha.
That was a
I
pun
gotcha.
because they make banners.
I
so
gotcha. I got it.
So you know.
I just didn't laugh because it's not funny.
That's fair. I accept that. Anyway, no, we made a really knockout video for them, and it was about 2.5 minutes. We cut it down to 30 seconds. We cut it down to 15 seconds so they can use it a bunch of places.
Yeah.
Their salespeople are using it. They sent it out to their sales groups, and their people started posting it on social media without them asking them to, which is kind of a testament to we made a kick-ass video.
Yeah, it's a great video.
Don't tell my wife I said that. Anyway, but yeah, no, theirs was a lot of fun. We went to a handful of different locations. We went up to Idaho Falls. We got some gorgeous drone footage. So
cool.
Yeah.
Well, what is just kind of wrap up real quick? And not real quick. We're not pressed for time or any. I don't think so. But what is a challenge that you're facing right now where you're like, oh man, if I could figure this out, I think we 10x our
and that is honestly the thing that we're running into right now, and we're trying to figure out is figuring out how to create more partnerships, how to find more people. I kind of naively, I thought, hey, if I decide to focus on partnerships, I'm just going to go find 10 marketing partners and they're each going to send me one client a month and I'm going to have tons of business. And I realized I'm going to have 10 marketing partners and they're each going to send me one a year.
Yeah.
And that's not going to sustain us as well as I expected it to.
Right.
And we're going to have 10 marketing partners and 4 of them are going to send us one a year. You know what I mean? So that I honestly think is to some extent a volume game. Yeah. If I can figure out volume and keeping us top of mind for our marketers, for our referral partners, that's what I'm falling down on right now. And is our goal for 2024.
It's just to increase those marketing partnerships.
Increase the partnerships, find more partners, but also stay top of mind, right? If that's sending out an email once or twice a month saying, hey, this is what we're focusing on this month. What do you have?
Yeah.
Right.
Which is crazy hard. So, cause everyone does the email newsletter, right? Which goes directly to spam.
Right. Or the trash.
Yeah. And then, that's the whole point of social media, really. My goal is with those social media videos is to keep top of mind.
Right.
That's really honestly. Yep. That's why we're doing it.
Absolutely. It's something that's what we're really focusing on and trying to, because you don't follow a marketer. I mean, you don't follow your marketer on social media. You don't follow your dentist on social media. You don't follow, you know what I mean? No. And so it's harder because they aren't necessarily following us, or if they do, they aren't seeing our posts and interacting with our posts. And so, creating a brand is the hard part. Have you thought about,
this is something that's being pushed a lot in the legal space, is creating a Facebook group that it's not like, Garner Law Facebook group, right? It's not that. It's essentially, for me, it'd be like resources and support for brain injury victims, right? So it's connected tangentially, right, to what I do, but I'm not in there selling.
Right.
I'm saying, look, if you have a brain injury, these are clinics, or you talk about different studies that come out, and then people who have had brain injuries, or they're more than likely the caretaker of someone who has, joins the Facebook group. So what I'm thinking, connecting it to you, is what if you did it was a pure marketing Facebook group. So you're getting marketers in there, and you have to kind of, deal with he's my competitor type of thing, but it's essentially like a resource for the marketers. And I'm just spitballing, right?
Sure. And
so I think that could work. Maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And honestly, that's
sharing trade secrets.
That's actually a
and
really
things.
Interesting idea, and something that I actually think I may run with. There's a Utah marketers group, that was started by Bruce Rowe with SIBO. Shout out to Bruce. But he's created a Utah marketers group, and they meet like 3 times a year. And I wonder if we could expand that and have us kind of take the helm of that, so that we can also be putting out that resource. And I don't want to create a competing group necessarily. Sure. So maybe I can find a separate niche from that. But meeting in person, I feel like, is really powerful. Yep. And so not necessarily because I have to go after B2B. Yeah. Right. I'm looking at B2B. You can set up one that's going after the caretakers or the individuals who've experienced traumatic brain injury, but my marketers don't scroll social media. they make social media, right?
Right.
Most of the marketers that I talk to are like, no, I hate social media.
Yeah,
I just do it
spend too much
professionally,
time on it
right?
anyways.
Yeah. And so, that's I think the biggest thing is I don't know that I can capture that group that way, but I do think that I could say, hey, all you marketers, let's get together once a quarter
Yeah.
and chill. And I mean, 'cause
Do
we
like
o-
a mastermind
We
or something
often
like that,
take
yeah.
like we'll take our marketers out and throw axes with them.
Right.
And we'll pay for it. We'll cover it. We'll
Embarrass them a little bit. 'Cause you're so much better at it than they are.
I'm just basically a professional. I did actually get paid to throw axes, but it's
So
because I was
technically
working
you
for
were.
I was working for the axe gym. But anyway, yeah, no, I think that's actually a really good idea and something I want to follow up with.
Well, that could be interesting too, just from because I could see the group moving in the direction of like a lot of DIYers.
Sure.
So, and that could be a more long term, right? So they're like, because everyone starts that way. I'm a DIYer, and then they, start making some money. They realize that, hey, I'm too busy for this, right?
Yeah.
So I'm going to hire someone now. So I could see you totally getting a bunch of businesses. So the group could be like, hey, basically marketing tips.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that is, and I could see that being beneficial because that's going to capture us businesses, not necessarily marketers, but we still want to be doing work for businesses, right? There's nothing that says, and this is, if I had one piece of advice to give, I think it's probably this. We have realized I can explain video production until I am blue in the face,
Right.
and people will take bits and pieces from it, and I can spend hours explaining it. But nobody has the time to implement what I'm talking about.
Right.
And so I have no problem. I don't have trade secrets that I'm like, oh, I can't tell people that.
Right.
I'm an open book, man.
Yeah.
Ask me questions. I am happy to share everything that I have learned.
Right.
Because you didn't go to law school so that you could make videos.
Right.
Right. There wasn't a video class at at law school.
They definitely wasn't. Even though it's kind of funny. I went to two guys law school. They're they're famous. The one, have you heard of the Texas Law Hawk?
Yeah, actually I have.
Yeah. So I went to law school with him.
That's cool.
He was in a Super Bowl commercial because of his YouTube videos.
Yeah.
And then another guy, his name's Jefferson Fisher, and he does communication techniques.
Okay.
And he just sits in his car. It's literally, it's crazy. It's got
That's awesome.
Random people. Do you know this guy? Yeah.
But that's exactly it. Some people can do that. Others can't. And I am happy to sit down. If somebody wants to be that, sure, pick my brain for an hour or two. I'm happy to share everything that I possibly can. But when you're running a business, I don't think that the Texas Law Hawk,
he didn't film it and edit it himself.
Anymore. Does he practice? Is he?
No, he does.
Does he? Okay. But I guarantee, I mean, the size of his YouTube channel, he's making not insignificant money, I imagine, from YouTube. And so if he wanted to wrap down his practice and just be doing the reaction video type style of videos, I think he probably could and would make decent money doing it, Right. And so I'm happy to sit down with those people, but there are plenty of people who are focused enough on their business and are working their business that when I explain the 40 things they're going to have to do, they say,
their moment,
and
the
how
brain
much does
explodes.
it cost for you to do that?
Yeah.
And I say, this is what it costs.
Yeah.
And we figure it out from there. Right. And so, that's one piece of advice that I would give to anybody. Don't have secrets. Share everything because nobody has the time to go out and do it. And you may be creating a competitor at some point, but they're going to see you as the authority because they learned it from you.
Right.
They're going to be They're going to think highly of you. And if there's something they can't do, they may pass them up the chain, to you. It just, there's not really a losing side to being open and honest and sharing because it's a feast world out there. It's not a famine world.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. So if someone wants to get a hold of you, how do they get a hold of you?
Absolutely. So you can visit our website, vidvictory.com. We're also on social media on YouTube. We had an Instagram that Instagram doesn't want to let me back into, so that's great. I have reached out to them and they have not responded. So I'm
shocked.
Tracking that one down. You can also add me on LinkedIn if you can find me. My name's Tom Arnold. There are about 1 million of us, but you can also email me, tom@vidvictory.com. Okay. But I am an open book. I'm happy to help however I can.
Perfect.
And I really appreciate you having me on.
Yeah,
man.
of course. Well, if you're a marketer or you're a business and wants to do a video, talk to Tom and he'll figure out and help you out. So much appreciated for coming on.
I'm your Huckleberry.